Hi, welcome to another video on Bandlab. This one I'm looking at different ways you can comment and message your students. If you've been using Bandlab for a little while, there's a few obvious places where you may have worked out where to leave comments for different things. Hopefully I might point out a few different ones that you haven't used and give you some ideas how you might choose to use ways of sending messages to students. So let's go into my classroom. So in here, I'm in my test class. I've got an assignment here. And for every assignment that you've got, you can leave comments and students can leave comments. So that's probably the first place that you might find where to leave comments. Okay, next one, let's go into an assignment. In here, you can leave comments again on the actual individual assignments, and this is another place to do it. If you go into students' work, so here I've got this task, the Angry Drummer has started it and it's in progress. And I can leave a personal comment that that student will be able to find. Okay, and that's probably the most ones that people have got and can get to. So let's just go back to that previous page. Back to the assignment. The next layering in messaging different students might be a student's actually started an assignment and you want to get a message to a student using the chat or conversation sorts of things. So in order to start a conversation, because up here you may have found that just see it past my webcam, the chat, and I've got a conversation happening there with the Angry Drummer. But how do you start a new conversation? There's nothing on this window to start a conversation. So the best way to do that one is you come over to members and you can see I'm the teacher. You've got my two students that I've got here. Down here you should have some three little dots. So I'm going to be using my Beaker test student, and you click on that and you can change you send a message, and there's a few other settings there. So I'm going to send a message, and this brings up this pop-up box here. Okay, and let's send a message. Let's say, how's your assignment going? Okay, and I'll click send on that one. So that's been sent. Okay, you'll find that up here in the chat window, there's now a conversation going. Okay, so let's now go from the student perspective. Okay, so hopefully we're now seeing both views, and I can now start this assignment. So the student can actually see there's a message there, so they can reply there, and the conversation can continue in the chat. Let's go into the assignment. So they're going to start the assignment. Might have them play with the loops. Okay, now there's nothing in here other than you saw that previously there was a notification on the chat. But if they know to come and check over here, the collaboration does actually work even though you haven't actually put them into a group. Okay, but it's a one-way conversation between you and the student. There's no other students actually particularly attached to this mixer. Okay, so how's your assignment going? So I might reply, well, I'll reply with, yes, going well. Because students always say that, and that's come back pretty much in real time. And then you might be saying back, you have not saved anything, because that's, yeah, you still need to save your work. Okay, and that comes back. So there's a bit of a chat conversation going on there now. So, okay, so the student's having a bit of a panic, need to get something done. So let's just put something in there. Let's grab a sound, grab a loop in there. Okay, so now I've got a sound in there. Now the save option is working. So the student's been working. I'm just using this as an example. So let's click save. Okay, and now I'll go back over to the assignment. And I can see that this is in progress. So let's go into that. I'm going to close that chat window. I can now go into the mixer for that student. Waiting for it to load. Okay, so now I can see the student's got one loop file, so they haven't really been working on things. But if I come back over to the collaboration, I can see this conversation that I was just having in that other window. Okay, I can see you have a loop file in your first track. Okay, and the student won't be able to see that until they go back over here. They can see a message has happened and those sorts of things. Okay, so it's a good little messaging thing if students know how to use it and go back to it. But much like emails, you've got to wait for somebody to actually find that there's been a message left there. Okay, so going back out of here, if I exit, while I'm here, I can actually edit this as well. So I can add a track. Let's add an instrument track. Type of thing, so I can add a track. If I save draft, okay, now at the moment I've saved something. I've got an extra track there, solution updated. Okay, but the student's not aware that something's happened. Okay, so if I exit out of here and go back into the mixer, they're going to see that the change has happened. Okay, so there's a few things that it doesn't work like a proper collaboration where you can see things happening in real time other than the chat. So if you're going to change something, let the student know that you've changed something, that they need to exit and come back in. Otherwise, if I change something again, so I'm going to delete that track. And I'm going to, what's just something else random to add? Let's add a drum machine track. So I've changed that up. I've done something different. Okay, I'm going to save draft again. Waiting for that save. Okay, so that's saved. Now, if the student wasn't told about it, so let's, what are we going to do? I'm going to delete that track. I'm going to add another loop track. Go around, find a loop, something random. Okay, I'm going to hit save. Now, what happens if the teacher comes back in here? So the teacher's exited, goes back into the mixer. And then the edit the teacher made is completely gone. Okay, so you've just got to watch how you're going to use this because there's no way to see who's editing this live with this way. So if your teacher's going to change something, make sure you message the conversation or send a message where the student is going to find it, whether it's using the collaboration thing here, okay, or not. So the next thing we might want to look at is what happens if the teacher clicks live session. Here's where something's happened here. Okay, so the student will be able to see that a live session's been started if they were looking at the screen when that happened. Okay, but teacher can see that I'm editing. The student can't see anything at this point. So here's where we're getting into that collaboration feature. So the student would have to click onto here, know that there's a live session in progress, and they don't want to start one, they want to join one. So this is reloading. Okay, so now the teacher knows that the student has joined, and if all working well, I'm going to add something. Let's go to a different loop, add it onto a third track. So we're making a change. There we go, that's in there. Okay, but hasn't loaded for me. Okay, so if I go save draft now, I'm going to use the chat feature in there as well. Did you see any changes? I have just saved it. Okay, so I haven't seen any changes. So what the student might do has left the session. Somehow my computer's not having a bit of trouble with this. So because I've had a little bit of communication happening there, I might try and refresh that page. So from the student point of view. Okay, so I've refreshed the student point of view. And now we can start to see in the background that second track is loaded there. I'm told I'm in view only mode over there as well. Okay, so it does work, but it's not as live as it should be. I don't know if it's my computer struggling to load two Chrome windows at the same time, or whether I'm running too many programs at once trying to do this video recording. But in my last collaboration video, which I'll have a link somewhere, I was seeing this live, and this is having trouble loading at the moment. I think I'm overdoing. I'll give it another moment. Okay, just throwing this little edit in here where I was able to get this to load. So just showing the collaboration, so the teacher's editing and the student's watching, and you can actually see this relatively live happening. Okay, I was running too many programs at once. I was able to reset a few things. I'll see if I can add another loop and see that happen live. Yep, that's happening live. Okay, so the teacher can actually do this stuff live and send messages, even though I had a little bit of a loading issue to demonstrate in the video. Okay, let's head back to the rest of the video. Open Mixer. Okay, we got there in the end. But I had to exit out of the live session, unfortunately. So it's pretty tricky remotely to try and do these sorts of things. This task might be better done over like a Zoom program or a Google Meet, where you might be sharing individual student screens and editing a few things that way. I know when I was remote teaching, I was doing this a lot more over Zoom on a one-on-one basis to help students out, or in person where we were looking at the student's view and those sorts of things. So hopefully this chat thing has been resolved in you being able to work out how you might best use this software or these chat messaging features, and give you an idea of what it looks like from the student's point of view. As you can see with me doing this as a demonstration, you've got to be a little bit resourceful and persisting when things don't quite go right, or if you have to assume what a teacher's saying, or the teacher has to communicate those things, or just being able to know where to look to see the communications. So think about how you might use this particular feature if you're going to be using it. So don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to comment below about any other features that you might need some help with. And thanks for listening.